Enough is enough. Eric Chavez must be fired tonight. Not tomorrow, not in 2 days, not in 3 days, not in a week, not in a month, not after the season. Tonight. To fucking night. I've had enough of this arrogant cocksucker with this fucking stupid look on his face, his dumb coaching philosophies. I've had enough. He is holding this team back. I really don't know what to say anymore. But yeah, I'm gonna just intro this video really quick. What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another post-game show here on Mets Central. This is Mets Fan Reaction Game 115. The New York Mets get swept in this 3-game set by the Cleveland Guardians and lose the finale of this 3-game set by a final score to 4-1. By the way, any of you that didn't watch this game, the Mets almost got no hit. They were 2 outs away from being no hit. And the only reason why they weren't is because Juan Soto in the bottom of the 9th inning with 1 out managed to hit a solo home run to dead center field to cut the lead down to 4-1. Other than that, that game was a complete shit show from start to finish. The whole series, by the way, was a shit from start to finish. I mean, let's be completely honest. Like, sure, they showed some fight in game 1 here and there. You know, they forced that game to extra innings. Should have won that game, but you know, why win games when you're in a division race and you're in a playoff race? You know, why do that? Second game yesterday, disgrace again. No offense whatsoever, leaving your pitching out to dry. And then again today. Listen, like I said, there's not much to talk about this game. Listen, David Peterson wasn't great today. Did give him some length. Was able to go 6 innings. Gives up 4 hits. 3 of those gives up 4 runs. 3 of those runs coming off home runs. Some of them more in great pitches, but you know what? As we've said on here plenty of times, you know, time after time after time after time again, how can you blame the pitching, whether that be starters or bullpen, when this offense is going up there at bat after at bat after at bat, giving lifeless efforts every single night? Whether it's no one on base, whether there's guys on base, there's guys in runners in scoring position, this offense doesn't come through. And again, who's the main culprit? It's Eric Chavez. Now, look, I know people will say, "Oh, you know, he's a hitting coach. You know, what the hell is he supposed to do? He's not up there in the bat. He's not supposed to hit." Listen, cool. I understand that. You have to hold the players accountable, and I do. The players 100% deserve some blame here. But you know what? The way this team is playing right now, and look, maybe this team isn't as dominant as we first thought when we were first coming into the season and we were all excited. Maybe they're not as good as we first thought. But you know what? They're not as bad as they're playing right now. I refuse to believe that. I refuse to believe that. This team has way too much talent, especially when you look at the top of the lineup, to be this bad offensively, to be this inept with runners in scoring position. I refuse to believe it. I refuse. As we've said on here time after time after time again, there's 4 years of evidence to show that Eric Chavez is a garbage hitting coach and someone that's out of his depth. And not only is he a garbage hitting coach, this is one of the most arrogant fucking cocksuckers in the league. Fuck him. Fuck him. He's out there on fucking social media getting into fights in Instagram DMs with fans and having a burner account on Twitter and again fighting with fans. Motherfucker, fuck you. Fuck you. I hope you get fired, and I hope you never get a fucking job in the league again. You fucking cocksucker. Fuck you. I've had enough. I've seriously had enough with this fucking guy. Let me just read a quote by Carlos Mendoza here. After the game, of course, Mendy, of course, he does his post-game interviews. Well, let's see what he had to say. I'm not sure who asked him the question, but obviously it had something to do with the offense. And Mendoza ends up saying the lineup isn't making adjustments. declines to point fingers at anyone on his coaching staff, says in-game communication is good, but it's not translating to execution, even when they know what opposing pitchers are trying to do. Now listen, I understand that Carlos Mendoza is not going to go out there in his post-game press conference and state that Eric Chavez sucks at his job and doesn't know what he's doing. He's not going to do that. I know in a perfect world we would all like him to do it, but let's be honest. As a professional, you have to act professional, even though he fucking doesn't. Going into Instagram DMs and fighting with fans. At the end of the day, as a professional, as someone who works for a professional sports franchise, you have to stay professional, and you can't go on there and basically name names and point fingers. But if you read that quote, he's basically blaming it on Eric Chavez without saying Eric Chavez's name. I mean, the lineup doesn't make adjustments. Sounds like Eric Chavez to me. Because at the end of the day, he is the hitting coach. He is supposed to look at the film of the guy's swings. He's supposed to look at the film of opposing pitchers and see how they pitch, how they deploy their stuff, what they go and what they're looking to do when they get to certain counts, whether it's the type of pitch they throw, whether it's a location they like to go through or they like to go to. That's supposed to be the job of a hitting coach. But what does this guy go? Oh, guys, go out there, have fun, whatever happens, happens. Great coaching there. Great coaching there, Eric. Shit, if you want someone else to do that job for free, I could do that shit for free. Oh, go out there, have fun. Yeah, because that's gonna work. It's I seriously I don't know. This team, listen, this team is one of the worst fastball hitting teams in the league statistically. I believe they're either bottom 3 or bottom 5 in batting average amongst fastballs. And listen, I get that this lineup from 1 through 9, when you look at the names, it's not the most dominant lineup. But when you have that 1 through 4, 1 through 5, maybe even some would argue 1 through 6, and they're that bad at hitting fastballs, it's a joke. It's a joke. They are not. None of these players are prepared for any of their at bats. How many times do we have to see them go up there, sit, and the thing is, right, for modern day Major League Baseball, right, the main pitch you're supposed to sit on is a fastball, not a breaking ball, not an off-speed pitch, a fastball. But explain to me why every time any of these hitters are in a 2-strike count, they're sitting on a breaking ball instead of looking at the fastball. And then anytime you see it, it's, they're either late, they're popping it up, they're making soft contact. It's either ground ball after ground ball. They are mentally not prepared for these at-bats. And again, whose fault is that? The hitting coach. The hitting coach. But, apparently there will be some people out there that says, oh, hitting coaches are irrelevant. They don't do anything. Really? Then why does every MLB team employ a hitting coach? Why does every team pay hitting coaches? For what reason? If they're not important, why pay them? Why waste money on them? So apparently they're useful for something. At least this fucking guy isn't. He isn't. Because he just likes to spend his time with his fucking thumb up his ass and fucking just hanging out with the boys. Like I said, if you need someone to do that for free, fucking call me. I will do that job gladly for free. I don't know. I don't know anymore. I don't. Listen, this team, and I know the percentages will say that this team most likely is going to make the playoffs. I think they have like a high 80% chance to make the playoffs. Listen, look at their upcoming schedule. It ain't a fucking guarantee. It ain't a fucking guarantee. I'll say that much. Because you know what? Next series, they're headed for 3 games in Milwaukee. And Milwaukee, for the last month, 2 months, has been one of the better teams in Major League Baseball. I believe maybe actually the best in baseball in terms of the record over the last 2 months. So that's looking like another sweep. And most of the time, if you're not counting the wild card series last year, the Mets typically don't play well in Milwaukee. They don't. I mean, do we have to recall the series before the wild card? They lost 2 out of 1. I believe in 2023, they got swept in Milwaukee. That was the second game. That was the second series of that season. In 22, even though they clinched the playoff spot there, I believe they lost that series 2 out of 1, if I'm not mistaken. So they don't play there whatsoever. And then even look at the pitching matchups. You got Frankie Montas going. You got Frankie Montas going that series. Ha ha ha! Good luck. Good fucking luck. Because you know what? Blink of an eye, that you're going to be down 10-0 by the time the second inning rolls around. So I don't know. Like I said, I just don't know. And listen, if Chavez doesn't get fired, and look, we've stated this before many times on here. It's August 6th. If you fire Eric Chavez now, most likely nothing's going to happen in terms of the hitting approach because it's already too late into a season. But I don't care. Now it's about sending a message. Now it's about holding guys accountable for failure. And Eric Chavez has failed time after time after time again. Like I said, it's a 4-year sample size. This is not a 1-year sample size. This is not a 2-year sample size. 4-year sample size. What was the main reason they failed in 2022? Sure, people can point to the pitching and say that guys like Scherzer and Bassett, and even you could point to DeGrom in Atlanta, and you could say that the pitching fell short. Listen, I agree to a certain point, but again, look at Game 1 of that series against San Diego. Didn't hit. Game 3 against Joe Musgrove. They didn't hit. 23, listen, that team was a mess, but again, same hitting problems. 2024, again, listen, good team, but the offense still was nowhere where it needed to be. Because, and listen, their bullpen was shot by the time they got to the NLCS against the Dodgers. But you know what? There was plenty of opportunities in that series to strike early against the Dodgers and get an early big lead, and they didn't because they didn't take advantage with runners in scoring position. And again, it bit them in the ass. And this year, if they sneak in, guess what? It's going to happen again. It's going to happen again. So again, like I said, listen, if they fire Chavez right now, it's not going to change anything in the short term. But again, it's about sending a message. It's about holding guys accountable. It's about cutting the cancer out of that locker room completely. And I don't care if Chavez is a likable guy. I don't like him. Fuck him. If the players like him, cool. Well, you know what? Then they failed for him. Then that's on them. So I don't want to hear any complaining. I don't want to hear any fucking moaning from the players or from inside the clubhouse saying, oh, that Chavez was a nice guy. Fuck that. He failed. This is professional sports. This is a results-driven business. All professional sports are. If you don't deliver results, then guess what? You fail and you get fired. That's it. And then the next guy comes in. That's how it works. There is no buddy-buddy. There's no nepotism. There's no boy-to-boy shit. Fuck that. Fuck that. This team has one of the highest payrolls in all of Major League Baseball. They were supposed to contend for a World Series this year. They ain't contending for one with Eric Chavez being the hitting coach. It's not going to happen. This guy was a JD Martinez merchant last year. Look at all the post-game quotes, all the on-field interviews from last year. When all these guys were talking about hitting, they all talked about JD Martinez. No one was talking about Eric Chavez. JD Martinez was the one. And listen, JD Martinez did not have a good end to the season last year. But you know what? At least he was useful and valuable in terms of actually helping out guys with their approaches, with how to hit. This fucking asshole, on the other hand, no. Whatever happens, happens. That's his motto. He's got the hitting approach philosophy that was used before the fucking Titanic sank. And if anyone doesn't know, the Titanic sank in 1912. That is 113 years ago. God. Stevie Wonder could have a fucking better hitting approach. And he's fucking blind. Helen Keller could coach these guys better. And she was blind and deaf. You know that this team didn't have a hit for 13 and a third innings? Going back to last night, Jeff McNeil had a leadoff single in the 4th inning. After that, 3 straight outs. And then until the end of that game, no hits. And then the first 8 and a third innings of this game, up until the Juan Soto home run, No hits. And I feel so bad for Gavin Williams because he deserved that no-hitter. He really did. Both me and Evan were at the game today, and we were at the game yesterday too. That's why this post-game show is going up a little late, so apologies to you guys about that. But we were both cheering for Gavin Williams. Actually, even before that, we were thinking about leaving the game early. And listen, we never leave games early. Like, that's one of my big things. Like, I never leave a game early. But this game got so bad to where I was seriously considering it. Not only just to beat traffic, but just to because basically saying like, fuck this. Like, I've had enough. But I was really, and even Max, you brought it up here. Am I crazy for getting mad that they didn't get no hit? Yeah, I'm pissed off too. Not only that this team deserves the embarrassment, and so does Chavez, but I feel bad for Gavin Williams. Guy was 2 outs away from getting a no hitter, and it just unfortunate. Just left a bad pitch over the heart of the plate, and Soto crushed it to dead center for a home run. I feel bad for the kid because he pitched a hell of a game today. Just it is what it is. It's baseball at the end of the day. Like one bad pitch and boom, your whole thing is ruined right there. God, this is just and again, similar to what we saw in June, after back-to-back sweeps of the Nationals and Rockies, huge losing streak. Got swept by the Rays, swept by the Braves. Lost 2 out of 3 to the Phillies in Philadelphia. Split a series against the Braves at Citi Field. And then got not only swept, fucking embarrassed in Pittsburgh against one of the worst teams in baseball in the Pittsburgh Pirates. And then again, go back a couple weeks ago. You salvage the finale of the Red Series. You lose the game. You lose that series 2-1, but you say, okay, fine, you salvage it. You play the Angels, sweep them. You then go to San Francisco, sweep them. 7-game winning streak. How do you respond? Tell me. How do you respond? The same way they did in June. Heartbreaking loss in San Diego, just like the heartbreaking loss in the opener against the Rays, and they crumble like a fucking cookie. 1-8 over the last 9 games. And like I said, they're going to Milwaukee. They're most likely going to get swept. So they're going to be probably 1-11. God, it's such a joke. It's such a joke right now. It's such a joke right now. And listen, like I said, if Chavez doesn't get fired, I need to start asking serious questions about David Stearns because, like I said, and listen, like I said, I don't care that nothing's going to change this season. I don't care. Hold people accountable. Hold people accountable. That's it. That is all I want right now. Even if this team doesn't make the playoffs, if Eric Chavez gets fired, I'll consider that a fucking win. I will be popping champagne bottles that Eric Chavez lost his job. That's it. That's me personally. But yeah, listen, they're not catching the Phillies for first place. They'll be lucky at this point to make the playoffs. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much going to be it for me. I mean, before we get out of here, just go through you guys' comments quickly, and then yeah, I mean, and typically, we'll have the podcast tomorrow. Not that there's anything much to break down in the series because they played like shit. But I guess we'll just have another tomorrow, another Eric Chavez rant fired fest tomorrow. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I'll just go through your guys' comment. Great thumbnail. Thank you, Pablo. Thank you, Pablo. He deserves it. He is a fucking clown. I wish I could have gone more brutal in the thumbnail, but again, I don't want to get this channel demonetized. I don't. But listen, if YouTube was a free for all fucking thing, then I could have made that thumbnail a lot worse. CJ Jr. was up. I don't believe I've ever seen you in here. If not, welcome to the channel if you are a first-time viewer. Is it just me or is everyone tired of Lindor acting like nice Pedro Serrano from the movie Major League 2? If you know, you know. Listen, I don't know. This I don't know. It's everyone's just lost right now. But yeah, I do like the quote from you. Pablo again, thank God I didn't watch this live. Holy crap. Yeah, it was an interesting watch, especially being in the building. OMG, I miss Bader, Iglesias, Martinez. That team was a lot more funner to watch than it is this year. I agree. Thank you, Madeline. Pablo again, literally 3 out of 4 in the lineup are future Hall of Famers and talents there. Absolutely. Like I said, listen, maybe the team isn't as good as we first thought they would be before the season start, but you can't convince me this team is as bad as they are right now. You can't convince me of that. There's too much talent in this lineup to be that bad. It's a coaching thing. No one can tell me otherwise. No one can tell me otherwise. I refuse to believe it. Ray, what is going on? I am tired with the Mets until they grow some testicles and decide they wanna win. Tired of cheerleading these pussified fairies. I watch better baseball in a league of their own. Yeah. Yeah, Max already went through that comment. Ray, they ought to be ashamed of themselves. No pride. I perform poorly at my job. I get fired immediately. Absolutely. Story time or B, what is going on? Basically rock bottom. Unless they get no hit or a perfect game thrown against them, they are seriously close to falling out of a playoff spot. This is bad. 100%. Why do you guys even keep getting tickets though unless they're free? Because we are fans and we want to go to the game. That's pretty much it. Ray, the Mets aren't even angry. They're all smiles. I mean, listen. This is my thing, right? Like, angry or smiling. Like, listen. Anger or smiling. Nobody cares. Like nobody cares. Like, people only care about results. That is the bottom line. Unless you're performing well, I don't care if you're smiling. I don't care if you're laughing. I don't care if you're down, angry, depressed. No one should really care because here's the thing. Because here's the thing. If you're performing poorly as an athlete and you're over there swinging your fist, throwing shit at the wall, people will say that you care, but you're a mental head case. And then if you're performing badly and you're out there smiling and being all happy, then people will say that you don't care. So either way, people are going to be mad at you regardless. I get what you're saying, Ray. Like this is not directed at you, but at the end of the day, it's all about performances and results. So as long as you're performing, I really don't care how you act. But like I said, they're not performing right now, so I don't know. We are Met fans. We are yep. Right, epic rant, Matt. Thanks. Speak for all the fans. Absolutely. Tommy Bravo Chavez is the Brian Johnson of baseball. How did we not get no hit again? Just luck. That's it. I mean, listen, Eric Chavez talks about, luck and pixie dust. Well, there's your luck and pixie dust. Gavin Williams just threw a bad fastball over the middle of the plate, and Soto crushed it. Which I'm even surprised Soto hit the fastball, considering that was right down the middle. Because again, why sit on fastballs? Why do that? We're supposed to be sitting on breaking balls and waiting for a breaking ball in the dirt before we go out and swinging. So. Lack of leadership in the clubhouse is concerning, no accountability. Well, I mean, listen, that starts from the top. That ultimately starts from the top. I think if David Stearns was to send the message and fire Eric Chavez, I believe that would wake up the clubhouse and say, "Oh, fuck, maybe we need to be better." And yeah, and listen, like I said, it's both parties. It is both parties. Players need to be better, but Eric Chavez is severely holding this team back. Severely, because like I said, you can't convince me that this team should be that bad at hitting. Like, there's too many talented names in this lineup for them to be this bad. I refuse to believe it. I refuse to believe it. Evan, leave a like and stuff for Matt. Thank you, Evan. This team is pathetic. Yep, can't argue with that. Mendoza has been managing a lot like Aaron Boone lately. I mean, listen, I can't fault Mendoza for the hitting approach because that's not his job. Listen, you could blame him for the bullpen decision. I mean, yeah, for the bullpen decisions and his management of the bullpen, but for the hitting, you can't blame him because that's not his department. That's not his job. That lies on Chavez and Barnes. Because something is wrong with us, sadly. Yeah, something is wrong with us. How many fly balls were pulled today, too? I don't know. I don't know. I was counting too many fucking ground balls in the dirt for me to even fucking care about fly balls. I don't know. We'll probably have that stat for tomorrow. I mean, probably I could pull them. I could pull it up right now. Oh, I think my camera just went. Sorry, guys. Yep. Yeah, I mean, I could try to pull it up quickly, but let's see if I can even get it. Uh, boo. Um, yeah, I don't know if I could pull it up on here. Let me see. Yeah, I can't really find it, and I don't want to waste your guys' time sitting here. Danny, this Mets team will go on a 10-plus game winning streak. Offense with the Mets has been cursed long before Mendoza or Chavez. I mean, I mean, look, part of the reason, listen, there's no such thing as curses, but I mean, listen, part of the reason was because they didn't have the skill as they did to this team. But again, like coaching matters coaching matters at the end of the day. It does. I don't want to hear anyone saying that it doesn't. It does. Thank God I was at work today. I'm happy for you. Toronto up 20-1 over there. Yeah, listen, it'd be a miracle if the Mets would ever put up 20 runs in the game. Can I ask you a question? Yeah, don't be biased. Would you rather have David Bednar or Ryan Helsley? I mean, I would rather have Ryan Helsley, but I think he's better. But I mean, listen, David Bednar is a good relief pitcher in his own right. But I for me, I would rather have Helsley. I like his velocity a lot more, and I think he has better stuff. I know Bednar's numbers have been over the last couple of years maybe a little bit better than Helsley's, and I'm not sure about that off the top of my head, but I would say Helsley, but that's just me. I'd rather watch Ranger hockey and Matt Ra. I don't want to say that's story time. That's going that's going a bit overboard. I don't want to think about Rangers hockey. Still about freaking um a month till even the season begins and even preseason. I don't want to think about that just yet. Fire everyone. Um, I can't really argue with that. Rangers Central, yeah, Evan. Rangers Central, yeah, sorry. JD Martinez saved last season. Unfortunately, saved Chavez's job. Yup. Get Beltran to replace Chavez. I mean, look, if Beltran wants to do the job of hitting coach, then I listen. As for me right now, no one can do worse than Eric Chavez. For me, I was even saying bring up the AAA hitting coach and have him here on an interim basis, see what he has. If he's still not good enough, send him back down to AAA and hire a replacement. Because like I said, what's the worst that happens? What is the worst? The offense still doesn't improve. I mean, listen, we're still at the point there of where we were right now. So listen. Velocity hitters are batting 400 off his fastball. Really? Okay. I didn't know that. Okay. I mean, but listen, let's be honest. Helsley still has a good fastball. I know maybe the numbers don't exactly back it up, but I mean just visually for me, I do like his fastball, but I didn't know that. But I respect your opinion. Okay. And Brian, if in a normal job, if you're in charge of a group of people and they're not performing to an expected standard, then you are fired. So why Chavez is an exception? I don't know. He must have some type of dirt on David Stearns. That's the only reasonable explanation I can give. That is the only reasonable explanation. That's it. Because even last year, like Evan pointed out, and I said before, he's a JD Martinez merchant. He was as much as a JD Martinez merchant as the Rangers were Igor merchants over the past couple years. That's it. No, I'd rather watch Job. I mean, again, that's drastic right there. I don't know if I agree with that either. Danny, I bet this Mets offense has people cursing for a long time now, years. CJ, I found you guys from Ranger Central. This feels like deja vu from the train wreck season. You guys are great on both channels. Thank you, CJ Jr. I appreciate that. Brady Kachuk would make a great hitting coach. It looks like I said anyone would make a great hitting coach beside Eric Chavez. And just as Evan says, thank you, CJ Jr. And yep, parallels for both are painful. Joanne, yeah, he does have a good fastball, but this year it is a down year compared to last year. Yeah, okay. I don't understand why Juan Soto is smiling after a strikeout. I just like I said before, whether Juan Soto is smiling or he was because like even like if you compare this earlier on in the year, when Juan Soto was going through his struggles earlier in the season, and when people were saying that he was quote unquote unhappy here, people were getting on him. Were getting on him for that, saying, oh, why is he more happier? Why isn't he smiling? He's miserable. He didn't want to. He didn't want to play for the Mets. He wanted to go back to the Yankees. And then when he's going through struggles now and he's smiling, people are saying, oh, he doesn't care. So again, it's one of those cases of where whether you're happy, whether you're sad, you don't win unless you're not performing. And at the end of the day, like I said, I don't care if Soto is, sad, happy, smiling, crying, laughing, down and sad. I don't care. If you're not performing, people are going to get on you regardless. At the end of the day, that is the bottom line. Perform. And no one's going to care emotionally how you feel. That is it. That is it. And yeah, this too. Soto was smiling because he respected the pitcher for beating him. It's not that deep. Yeah, listen, it was a good pitch. Soto shouldn't have swung at it, but it was a nasty pitch. I mean, that's it. If that's true with Soto, it's almost as worse as with the Dolphins. If all players were laughing when they were losing games. Red flags right there. I don't know. He's batting 180 with run score position, and he's yet to hit a 3-run home run. Again, I think that's I think a lot of it's down due to coaching as well. I mean, listen, again, does he have to be better in his own right? Yes, but I mean, let me just pull up the fastball numbers compared from last year to this year, and it is a drastic drop in fastball batting average by Soto. Give me a second, guys. Baseball savants, let's go. Boom. Okay. So I don't know if this is updated with today's game, but so far in the year, Juan Soto is batting 264 against fastballs. Last year, his batting average was 333 against fastballs. You can't convince me that's not a skills thing. Like, there's no there's no way Juan Soto, just based off skills, dropped from a 330 batting average last year against fastballs to a 264 batting average against this year. I just, to me, mentally, that just doesn't make sense. It does not make sense. And then when you compare the other numbers, 514 slugging against fastball this year, 709 last year slugging against fastballs. Like, again, it's a coaching thing. Like, it is, because they are not prepared out. They're not prepared there. They're not prepared to hit fastballs. They're not. Is it just me, or does fans create noise? Keep smiling, Soto. We shouldn't. No, I sorry. That is such a reactionary take. Sorry. Whenever that player of that caliber, of that skill set is out there, you sign him every single day of the year. I'm not. I can't stand this when Met fans say that Juan Soto sucks and that we should have never signed into a contract. Look, is he struggling right now? Is he not playing well? Does he need to improve? Absolutely, 100%. But saying that he sucks and that we should have never signed into a contract, get the fuck out of here. Because if we go back to the offseason, we all would have been pissed off if the Mets didn't sign Soto. So I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. That's a good take, actually. If he wasn't smiling, he would say he was miserable. Yeah. And like I said, at the end of the day, it's about how you play, and it's about the results and the bottom line. That's it. That is it. Yes, but he was batting in front of the Judge. Okay, yes. Listen, I get that. He was batting in front of the Judge. He had arguably the best protection of all baseball. Your batting average should not still go down that much, because Juan Soto was a hell of a player in Washington when he won a World Series in 2019, and he was when he was there from when he first came up in 2018 to when he left halfway through 2022. And I believe in 2019, in that run, he had Howie Kendrick behind him as protection. So listen, does having Aaron Judge as protection help? Absolutely, yes. I'm not going to deny that. But Juan Soto is a good enough hitter on his own for his fastball batting average to not dip that much. Sorry, like I said, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. Be calm and believe. I mean, I'm trying to be calm and believe, but listen, I need to see something before I can be calm and believe. Beltran didn't perform well in year one. But even with Beltran, right? If you compare Beltran's first year to Soto's first year, Soto clears him by a mile. I mean, currently, what Soto has like an 860 OPS. Beltran had like a 740 OPS. Beltran had about what 14, 16 home runs. Soto's got what 26 home runs. So Soto's way outperforming Carlos Beltran. And listen, I get that, Beltran was a better defender and he was a center fielder, but even still, I mean, Soto's defense hasn't been terrible. Has he been a Gold Glove in right field? No, but I think he's been better than any of us as expected. So he's outperformed Beltran in his first year by a lot, and Francisco Lindor as well. How are you doing, my friend? Team needs of work of all games bad. I guess I'm fine, but I don't know. Watching this baseball team doesn't make me feel good. I'll say that. We are the Mets. It never makes sense. I mean, yeah. I mean, you could say that. Fuck. I agree, Jeremy. I agree. Fuck. Okay. I mean, Soto, but he isn't worth. Listen. I get it. At the end of the day, maybe Soto isn't worth as an individual player 765, but the market determines what you're worth. The market determines what you're worth. Really, realistically, are any professional athletes worth millions upon millions upon millions upon millions of dollars? No. Listen, my dad always says this to me. Like, the ones who should be making millions upon millions of dollars are people like freaking doctors and surgeons, the ones that are saving people's lives every single day. But you know what the main difference is? People don't pay to watch doctors perform surgery and save people's lives. People pay, though, to go to professional sports outings and watch professional athletes play. That's why they make money. That is the single reason why. So, sure, in a vacuum, should Soto be worth $765 million? No athlete should be worth that amount of money. But the market determines the other teams who are willing to pay for you. That determines your market. And if 765 was the price the Mets had to go to get that done, then you know what? You have to go to that amount. That's it. That is it. Soto signing was the best thing us Mets fans got for Christmas. Absolutely. I remember the night Soto, when we got the John Heyman notification, when that dropped and when Soto signed. I was running around my house screaming in excitement. And listen, has he performed up to the exact standard that we first thought? No. But listen, still in a vacuum, he's had a relatively okay year. And again, it's only year 1 out of 15. He's going to be here for 14 years. So whether people like it or not, he's going to be here for 14 years. So buckle up and enjoy the ride. And Beltran may be going to the Hall of Fame. Yep, absolutely. And so will Soto. Soto will 100% be going to the Hall of Fame. Brian C., you see better fastballs in the zone. Evan, he still had Hall of Fame numbers in Washington, San Diego. There's nothing to do with not hitting in front of Judge anymore. Yeah, absolutely. The money won't matter in the Soto contract. Absolutely. They made back majority of that Soto money already just off the season tickets sold and jersey sales alone. So the money doesn't matter. The money really doesn't matter. I'm not worried about Soto in the least. That's my no. Yeah. I listen, Ray. I completely agree with you. But I was just making the comparison between how Beltran played in his first year and then Soto played in his first year. That's pretty much it. But I get what you were saying, Ray. Neither did Piazza perform well at first. Yeah, absolutely. And listen, like, this is not an excuse, but just saying. And again, like, 860 OPS, like, for most players in the league, that's a very good OPS. I know for Soto standards, it's not, and I expect him to be better, and I demand him to be better. But and listen, I get with the numbers and run scoring position, he needs to be a lot better. Absolutely, I agree. But I still think it's a coaching issue. I think if you give Soto the right hitting coach, if you give not even just Soto, but all these players the correct hitting coach, you're going to see better numbers out of them. You're going to see better approaches out of them. You're not just going to see ground ball after ground ball after ground ball. You're actually going to see them hitting for power. You're going to see them hitting the balls in the air. You're going to see them hit more home runs. You're going to see them drive in more runs. That's it. Soto will be going to the Hall of Fame as a Met. He'll be fine. Yep. Soto brings in millions of dollars a year. That's what he's being paid, $765. Yeah, like I said before. And same with Ohtani. That is the reason why these guys get paid. No, yes, we are being dead serious. That is why players are paid that much. It's because of the revenue they bring in, and then they say, "Listen, if we're bringing in that much revenue for you guys, then you know what? We deserve our money too." And they do deserve their money. And listen, like I said, people can argue whether they are worth it. Theoretically, in a vacuum, are they probably worth that much? No, not really. But at the end of the day, when they help bring in majority of the money for Major League, and not even majority, all the money for Major League Baseball, then yeah, they deserve a decent chunk of that salary. Please don't mention Otani and Soto in the same. Listen, Otani is a better player than Juan Soto. I'm not going to agree. I'm not going to argue with that. He probably is a better hitter, but they both make a lot of money because they're both very good players. And again, like I say, the market determines how much you are worth. If teams are willing to pay that, then guess what? You are worth that. That's it. Listen, if there was no betting war that got the number up to 765, then Soto wouldn't have been paid $765 million. Like that's it. There was no set number and set in stone that Soto had to make $765. No, there was a bidding war. It probably started from 400, worked its way up to 500, 550, 600, 650, and up and up and up until we got to 765. And let's not forget, if and when, and I'm saying when because it's going to happen, when Soto opts out of his contract after the fourth year and the Mets increase his salary to $55 million a year from $51 million a year, that guaranteed number is going to go up to $805 million. So, again, market determines and other teams determine what you are worth. That's it. Simple as that. Cohen is a moron. He won't spend money on something that won't bring in money. But 100%, Brian. Brian's talking about the draw to the ballpark. Soto brings assets to the seats. And that's what it's all about. That is what it's all about. At the end of the day, it's about making money. It is about making money. That is why, listen, we love professional sports. It is a game. But at the end of the day, in present day, in 2025, sports is a business. It's about making money. And all the owners care about and what the league cares about and what the players care about is how much money and how big of a checks they're able to attain and put into their bank account. That is it. Cohen made multiple times the Soto contract selling the AAA team. Yeah. There's a reason Pete Alonso gets information. Yeah, exactly. Prime reason. Why does he not get hitting help from Eric Chavez? Because he sucks. Because he sucks at his job. That's it. The Mets should sign Kyle Tucker since all they do is overpay. Kyle Tucker's a really good player. But you know what? If Eric Chavez is still here, Kyle Tucker's probably going to end up sucking. So get rid of Chavez. Much needed day off tomorrow. Thank God. 100%. I need the day off tomorrow too. Kyle Tucker. Listen, he's going to get paid whatever teams are willing to pay for him. If he gets paid 500, he gets paid 500. If it's 550, it's 550. If it's 6, it's 6. That's it. I love Kyle Tucker. He would make the team better. Absolutely. Unfortunately, though, Eric Chavez would tell him to hit more ground balls instead of hitting for home runs. They'll overpay for Schwarber, and it'll be worth every penny. Absolutely. Kyle Schwarber is worth all the money they throw at him. And I hope to God, that he ends up being a Met next year. I hope. He's probably going to test free agency, and probably the Phillies are going to be players for Kyle Tucker. I know probably because, the Yankees will be. I'm sure the Cubs will throw him an offer. The Dodgers will be one of the front runners because they're always, involved in big free agent targets. But we'll see what happens. But listen, the Mets are not going to get they're not going to get Kyle Tucker, but they need Kyle Schwarber, and they need to do whatever it takes to get Kyle Schwarber. But like I said, and I plays with Kyle Tucker. If Kyle Schwarber comes here, Eric Chavez is going to look at his home run numbers. He's going to look at his OPS numbers and say, no, we do not like that. You need to hit more ground balls instead of home runs, Kyle. Listen, Kyle Schwarber could win the NL MVP this year, and he very well might, because he's probably 1 or 2 right now with Shohei Ohtani to win NL MVP. If he would come in here, Chavez would say, Kyle, can you come over here for a second? You won NL MVP last year, and I see these numbers that you put up, but you think this is a good season? You think these are good numbers? Because I don't. We need the batting average up, and we need more ground balls. Joke. And yeah, like I said, I was going to make Schwarber drop the 15 home run. Is going to make my 15 home run bad here. Tariq Skubal has a higher WAR than Ohtani and Soto. Might as well give him $700 million too. And listen, if a team wants to pay him $700 million, then he's going to get $700 million. I don't think that's going to happen though, just because with how fragile starting pitchers are and how easily they get hurt, especially these days with Tommy John and all that shit. I don't know if we'll see pitchers get up to that. They might as well. They might very well. I don't know, but we're gonna have to see if it happens. But listen, like I said, if teams are willing to pay that much for Tariq Skubal, he's going to get $700 million. This is how free agency works. This is how a free market works. This is how negotiations works. Cold take. I think the Marlins will end. No, I don't think the Marlins are going to end up winning. I know you said cold take, but yeah, I don't see that happening. Hey, listen, credit to the Marlins because they are way better than I thought they'd ever be this year, and they're showing tons of fight. But yeah, I don't see that happening. Are you the owner of the Pirates or something? Why do you not want to spend money on good players? Hey, she very might well be. She very might well be the owner of the Pirates because with this talk, this is not big market spending talk. And listen, I get it that it's not responsible to go out there and just give big time players like every single dollar out there. Obviously, you have to be smart with it. You have to say, okay, let's give player to this. Let's give money to this player. Let's give money to this player. You can't just go out there and lock up every single player to a long-term contract. This is what you see the Dodgers like. Of course, they have their guys on big-time money like Ohtani, Freeman, Mookie Betts, Blake Snell, Tyler Glasnow, Tanner Scott, guys like that. But then when you look at some of their other guys, Will Smith, Max Muncy, Kike Hernandez, and especially then some of the young guys that are coming up through their system, they're making rookie money deals. And this is why it's important, to build your prospect system, to make sure you're able to, turn out these prospects. So, you don't have to go out there and, overpay for all these guys. This is why it's a good thing that the Mets have so many good young pitching prospects coming up, because we've seen how fragile pitching, pitchers have been over the last couple of years, and especially, when you look at all the big time contracts that have been handed out to pitchers, Garrett Cole, sure, he's been, very durable, but again, he had to have Tommy John surgery. Corbin Burns signed a big time contract over the winter, had to have Tommy John surgery. So it's a good thing that the Mets are developing these young guys, and they'll come up here and listen. They may very well get hurt. We saw Christian Scott came up here last year, and he had to get Tommy John surgery. But you know what? The good thing about Christian Scott, he's not making $30 million when he's getting Tommy John surgery. So he's making $700K. He's making rookie money. So it's good. It's good to know that eventually, when these guys are ready to come up, and some of these guys should be ready to come up. I still don't understand why guys like Sproat and McLean are not up here. I mean, I do a certain extent because you want to be careful with those guys, but I think those guys deserve a shot. But it's good that the Mets are not going to be able. They're not going to have to overpay on starting pitchers because they're going to have young, controllable, talented arms that are coming through their system and will be, solidifying this rotation in the next few years. Chavez would turn Schwarber to looser eyes, 100%. If Tariq Skubal had Logan Webb's body, he would get $50 million a year. Hey, listen, like I said, it's about what teams are willing to pay. Tommy Bravo, probably not. I saw the Phillies win the division before the season started because of BS. Yep. Ray Chavez has turned everyone into Luis Castillo. And off topic, but I think if Luis Torrens was a pull hitter, he would turn into an everyday catcher. His savant page is impressive. I mean, yeah, look, maybe with a better hitting coach, Luis Torrens is a better player than he is right now. Listen, I think Luis Torrens certainly does have talent for a backup catcher. Whether if he can handle the load as a starting catcher, that's a totally different, thing, because we saw how poorly he was when he took over, the full starting catcher role after Alvarez got sent down. But again, if he has a better hitting coach, maybe he is a better hitter, maybe. But we will see. But anyway, guys, I mean, long post-game show, 50 minutes. We had plenty to talk about, and we'll again have plenty to talk about tomorrow when we do the podcast. But yeah, that's gonna be it for me. Like I said before, make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe on the channel. We always appreciate you guys supporting on the channel, and make sure to hit the notification bell as well to let you guys know anytime we upload a video or go live on the channel. But yeah, that's gonna be it for me. See you guys tomorrow for the podcast. Peace out, baby. Let's go Mets. And fire Eric Chavez. That's most importantly. Fuck that guy.